Stampers, it's Linda Schmitt with Stampin' with the Houndz. I have another fun fold, kind of a 3D card. This one has been around for quite some time, but I had a request from one of my Stampin' friends to do a tutorial on this fun fold, and I thought it would be a great way to showcase some of our upcoming products that are going to be available in the new 2023-24 annual catalog from Stampin' Up that is released next month, just a few more days, May 4th, and this is featuring the Fresh as a Daisy suite, and within that suite it has the Cheerful Daisies stamp set, which is a two-step style, and it is a photopolymer set. And with this one, so with the two-step, you can do the solid and then do your outline. So you can do two different colors, or you can just stamp them individually and then die cut them out. And for all of these, there is coordinating dies, and then there is also one that kind of cuts out a solid they're all connected with the leaves and then the three flowers. So that's kind of a fun idea too. And then the other thing which is kind of fun with these dies, so there is a solid one that cuts out the daisy, and then there's one that does the inside, or the kind of the textured with it. And then if you put these together and die cut it at the same time with your cardstock, you'll then get an outline image. Oops, this one may not want to come apart. I made it. There we go. Easier said than done. I probably should have run this one through a few more times. Oh, let me look here. Here's one that I can show you. Sorry. Let's see if this one does it better. There we go. So then this comes out, and then you've got an outline piece, and then you also have that inside, which has got a little bit of texture with it. So you can do coordinating, you can do different colors, you can use this on something else, and you can use this solo or vice versa. So lots of options with this die set, which is kind of fun. And then it also has a nice shape that kind of does the sentiments. And then when I was first looking at this set, I was like, okay, I know this one is, you know, it does die cuts the center flower out, and then this one really doesn't die cut this little one, but it does create, because I'm like, what is this thing? But it is for die cutting your center of your flower to use with it. So I've got some samples to show with that. So lots of options, fun set. And then the paper that goes with this set is a beautiful, I just set it aside, sorry. Oh, here it is. So in the suite, if you get the suite, you're also going to get the stamp set, the die, and then you'll also get this paper. And this paper is a great way of showing all of well, the majority, a lot of our new colors. So like this is the bubble bath. This is that wild wheat, and then the returning pretty peacock. This is the boho blue. You can also, you've got the azure afternoon, which is another new color, and then a lot of the in colors, so the wild wheat, I'm still learning these names, something mauve, moody mauve, and then copper clay, and then pebble path. So it's really nice because it kind of showcases a lot of the in colors, as well as some of our new colors that we have coming in with it. And it's just beautiful, double-sided paper. One side is more solid, the other side has got the patterns, which is kind of fun on it. And then this last one, oh yeah, this one is what we're going to be using today. It's kind of the blue. So this one I was using the azure afternoon and the copper clay for my colors. So those are the papers, and then it also has these fun little gems that coordinate with it too, that are in that suite. So like when I do these, I always like to do quite a few samples. So the first ones that I saw that other people had done, they were just strictly using the cardstock as their base and then layering the Designer Series paper on it with it. But I did find that with the cardstock, when you are folding this, it was a little tougher to do. So then I thought, well, maybe let's try it with just having the designer series paper as your base. And I found that was a little bit easier to manipulate. And then, you know me, my goal is to always use up my designer series paper. So this is another great way of using up that paper. And then you can just go to town on how you want to decorate it. And then what I've been doing, because I kind of picture these as more of a display piece for people to have on their desk. So what, excuse me, what I'm doing, so this is my front, and then my back side, I still decorated it. And then when you open it, I just did another oval die cut, and that's where I would put my sentiment, or I would write, on the base underneath the card. So that's just another one option that you can do. So there's the front, kind of using, that's where I did that outline, and then that textured cardstock. So this is just using the dies. And then here I've got a combination of the dies and the stamp set, using those. And like I said, this one I did more of the vellum, and I've got my little dimensionals, that's the back, and this was the front. And again, you can use a variety of, like, whatever your focal point is. I'm doing a lot of the retired stitch shapes. You can also do your circles and also your squares too. So whatever, can kind of decorate them however you want. But here are some other samples using the Daisy suite and the papers. So this is that Moody Mauve and the Bubble Bath pink color. And then also the Wild Wheat, which I'll be honest, when I saw these colors, I'm like, that Wild Wheat, it's not my favorite. So, but as I've kind of worked through, it is a nice accent color with it. So it's growing on me. It's not my favorite, but it's growing. It's growing on me. So there's another one. And again, this is I did more of the stamping with it. And then this one I did the designer series paper again. And on this one for my focal, I kind of had my 3 little daisies. So it looks like they're standing up on there when it's on someone's desk. And then again, I did that circle point. This is the back side. I just put one little daisy. And then again, if I'm going to do a sentiment, I just tuck it underneath on that. So there's that one. And then my last two, here's that Wild Wheat base, is the cardstock. And then I did the garden green. And then this is that new Lemon Lolly color, which is in the subtle family. So on this one, I did my focal point with a square, so it kind of looks like 3 diamonds instead of the double diamond. And then again, that's the front. The back side, I just kind of decorated it. And this one, I didn't put my thing in there yet, but eventually I'll put another little shape there just for my sentiment on that one. And then my other one I did, this was one of my first ones that I was kind of playing around with. And this was just some retired celebration paper from January and February of this year. And I had some pieces still left over. So on here I did, this is that Lemon Lolly. So beautiful color, the copper clay. And then I did the Granny Apple Green and Garden Green for the colors. And then again here, instead of doing on the back side, I did stamp my saying directly onto the designer series paper, and then I just kind of decorated with it. So lots of fun ideas that you can do with this, but I'm going to show you both ways, using the designer series paper and the cardstock as your base, so that you can kind of see, but it goes together really easy with it. So all right, let's get started. Throw some of these away, or not throw them away, get them out of the way. All right, so for your supplies, your base, the card base, you would need either cardstock or designer series paper, and that needs to be cut at 4 by 10. So if you are using paper, pattern paper, you want to think when you cut it that this is the long side, and so this is what is going to be facing you. So kind of pay attention to your pattern. So on this one, I want to make sure that I'm keeping this upright. So when I cut it, this is 4 by 10. And then I did the Azure Afternoon. This is 4 by 10. So either one, like I said, if you want to make 2 of them at the same time, you can go ahead and do it. We're then going to, for your squares, and this is totally optional for these, So if you're doing the designer series paper, you may not need to do your layering squares like how I do on the cardstock. So here I've got my layered squares. This is, I just did pattern paper. So if you're doing the pattern paper, you don't necessarily need to cut these squares. But if you decide to do squares, you basically want 1 7/8 by 1 7/8, or you can just do it at 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, and you would just have a little bit more border showing around. So, and those you'll need 4 of them because you're putting them on each one of these panels. So in here I did a double layer. So the designer series paper is 1 7/8, and then the cardstock underneath here was 1 7/8 was the cardstock, and the designer series paper was 1 3/4. So that's just kind of your option. So I've got some already cut, depending on, I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do our card today, but I just cut up some squares just to have on hand. And then the rest is just whatever you want for your die cutting and stamping. So you know me, I go to town and just die cut a bunch of stuff already. So I've got some options when I'm ready to assemble my card. So the next thing we want to do is we want to take and score on these pieces. So you're going to get your Simply Scored tool. I'm going to do it on the cardstock first, so it's a little bit easier. So I've got a template. So what we're doing is you are going to, and of course when I did these marks, I apologize. I did this on my other scoring tool. So the 2 and the 8 are flipped, but basically you're going to score at 2 inches on the 10-inch side. Then you're going to score, excuse me, at 8 inches. Or if you just score at 2 and flip it around and score again at 2, that gives you the exact same thing. So we'll do 2 and 8. You'll then rotate it and score again at 2 going down the middle. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So we're going to score at 2. And again, you can either flip it around and score again at 2, or you can just score at 2 and score at 8. Okay, then on the 4-inch side, you're going to score right down the middle at 2 inches, and that's it. So that's what's giving you your 2 lines and then the 1 going down the middle. So I'm going to do the same thing with my designer series paper. I'm going to score at the 2, at the 8. I'm going to rotate so it's on the 4-inch side, and I'm going to score right down the middle at 2 inches. Okay, so that's really it for the scoring, or not the scoring, but for using your tool. Now what you want to get is a ruler and a pencil, because we're going to now make tick marks so that we can create this shape in the center. Okay, so on the 10-inch side, you are going to make a tick mark at 4 inches and at 6 inches. Okay, that's what I'm going to do first. So using your ruler, we're going to make, and you can either use your stylus to do these, which normally that's what I do, but for the video I want to use my pencil just so that you can see the marks that I'm doing. So like I said, we're going to take a tick mark and we're going to make a mark at 4 and at 6. You're then going to flip your cardstock around and do the same thing. 4, make a tick mark, and 6, make a tick mark. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to take and fold this in half, And I'm going to bring out my tool here again, just to show you that you can use it here as well too without your ruler. So with the folded edge lined up against my tool, I'm going to also make a mark at 3 and at 7. Okay, so when you unfold it, you're going to see you've got your 4, your 6 at the top and the bottom, and then you've got your 3 and 7. Now what we want to do, and this is where you're still going to need your ruler, you're going to need your pick tool or whatever stylus you have, and then I like to have, you can use your, I'm just looking for where mine is. Can't find it, but anyway, you can, this is a Stamparatus. It was their foam grid thing. You can also use your craft sheet. That's what I was looking for, was my craft sheet. I must have somewhere. Anyway, so either one of these is going to work. You just need a little bit of cushion or a little bit of foam just to help you with this, with the scoring. So now what we're going to do is we are going to connect these tick marks to make these diagonal lines. Okay, so on that 6-inch, this was that 6-inch mark, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to line this tick mark up, which was that 6-inch mark, with my middle line tick mark, and we're just going to make a diagonal line. Now what I've been doing is we need to fold this. So I just gently keep my ruler in place, and I'm just going to press that line up against my ruler just to kind of give that little bit of crease. Now we're going to go around and we're going to take this tick mark here, line it up with that bottom line tick mark. Same thing, do your stylus. Then gently bring this up and kind of push that up against that edge of your ruler just to help get that scored. Then we're going to flip it, and now we're going to do that bottom tick mark to that middle tick mark. Line those up, take your stylus, and again, make those score lines. And then bring this up just so it presses up against the ruler. And then again, this final one, tick mark to tick mark, line it up. And I did find the metal ruler helps a little bit better than a plastic one. So this little ruler, I actually picked it up at Walgreens when I had to pick up my prescription. It was like $2. So, all right, and then you can go ahead. Oops, and I forgot to bring this up here. So again, bring this up so it's against the edge. And now we can go ahead and remove those tick marks. And you can just do these tick marks with your stylus, but for the video's sake, I just thought showing you with the pencil was a little bit easier. So now what we're going to do is we want to make sure we score on our edges here. So these were those 2-inch horizontal lines that we did. These need to be a mountain fold. So I'm going to take this and fold it so that it's a mountain fold. Same thing on the other side. Okay, so I've got my 2 mountain folds. We had already folded this one in half, so that was a mountain fold as well. So now what you're going to do is, because we had already kind of helped create these diagonal lines, you're then just gonna kind of squish and bring together, and then it's going to form into our shape, the double diamond. And I don't press too hard with my bone folder on here, because it will kind of create little crease lines on your cardstock. So this is what I said, this is where it's kind of more hard, it's because it's cardstock. but as long as you score those diagonal lines, and then as you open it and play with it, it goes together. It finds its shape and it holds it. Okay, so that's the cardstock. So let's do the exact same thing with our designer series paper. So we had already scored the 2 and the 8, and we did the 2 down the middle. I'm just going to now make my tick marks. And with this one, I am just going to do it with my stylus just so you can kind of see. So again, on this long inch side, we're making a tick mark at 4 inches and at 6 inches. We're going to turn it around, do the exact same thing, 4 and 6. Then we are going to fold this in half. So this is already scored at 2. We're going to fold this in half. Take our folded edge, align it onto the top of our score tool, and then we're going to score, make a tick mark at 3 and at 7. Then we need to, and this is where it's going to be a little bit harder to show on the video, but so you can kind of see there's a tick mark, here's a tick mark, here's a tick mark, here's a tick mark, and then my 2 middle ones are on there. So it's a little bit harder to see on this side, but bear with me. I can, well, maybe I'll just do it this way and then we can just flip it around. Yeah. Oh, then I need this underneath to help me. So again, we're going to line this up with our tick marks. Make those diagonal lines. Kind of press this up against the ruler. And again, there is my tick mark. And then there's my other one. Rotate it around, find your tick mark, which is there, and then the other one is here. So this is where, like I said, the pencil is going to be a little bit easier to see. And then the last one again, tick mark to tick mark. And depending on what your pattern paper is too, some like this one is kind of hard to see on the camera. And then again, just kind of give it that crease. Okay, so now we've got those 2-inch ones. We're going to make the mountain fold. Mountain fold. We already did this one as the mountain fold. And then now we're going to, I think I need to crease these a little bit more just to help get this. There we go. Then you just kind of start squishing and pinching, and then it'll fall into that shape. And then again, just kind of get a little thing, and there you go. So out, and then there it is put together. So super easy. That's the fold. That's the double diamond fold. And then you can just decorate however you want to. So let's do the decoration. So let's do our designer series paper one first. So this one again is a little bit easier because you don't have to decorate you know, as much because your pattern paper is your focal. So I'm just going to decorate that center part. And what I wanted to do, let's see here. So again, this is that Azure Afternoon and I got copper clay, and then I had done some embossing with my white. So those are this is a new color that is in the Brights family, and then copper clay is an in color. So this will only be available for 2 years in the catalog, and then they'll retire it out. So we got that huge color refresh that Stampin' Up! Did for this coming catalog that is going to be out. So let's see here. I think what I'm going to do for my focal was I was just going to take an oval, and let me look here. Could just do, because I embossed this on vellum, and then this is that one that I had done an outline. So if I line these up, I just gotta, there we go. And then I've got some of my centers. And then I think I can just pop that out on there. So I think that's what I'm going to do on that part. So I'm just going to glue this onto my vellum. So I'm just going to use a fine tip glue. I'm hoping, I know I had a little bit of a delay with my tutorials. My day job has been a little chaotic and stressful, so I just haven't had a chance to really take the time to sit down and work on my videos and get them recorded and edited, so I apologize for, life just gets busy sometimes. And then I like to pop up the little centerpiece with the dimensional. So I'm just gonna put a dimensional on there, and then that, and then I did want to, I had already, let's see here, because I was thinking if I put that there, or do I want to do, I think I like the blue, because I was going to have this be my little thing that pops up. So, okay, so you do want to make sure when you're, and these will fit into your standard A2 card. I was just looking for my envelope just to show you. I thought I had it sitting out here. So now I get too many things on my desk and I can't find stuff. Hold on, just a moment. Sorry. So when you go to put this piece in, you want to make sure that you're not getting too tall where it wouldn't fit into your card. Okay? So I'm finding if you just leave about, you know, a 1/2 inch space at that bottom there, and then keep this fairly, it'll fit then into your card, into your envelope. So I'm going to go ahead and just put glue only on the bottom half of this oval. And again, you can use ovals, you can use squares, you can use circles. You want to keep whatever the width is, you know, so that it doesn't go wider than this section, which this section here is, when this comes together, yeah, it's like 4 inches. So don't go anything wider than 4 on there. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to put, like I said, I'm just going to put tape just on that bottom half. I'm just going to kind of center this in here. And then make sure you don't see any adhesive on that back side. Okay. And then this, I am just going to, again, pop, I think I'll probably just do another dimensional on the back of that one. And as long as yeah, I can just do that. So there's that. And then for my saying, I want to make sure that I'm only going to put glue on the one side because this needs to open up. So whatever you attach, if you're doing an attachment, just make sure that you're only putting the adhesive on the one side. So I'm just looking through my little pieces here just to see, because I feel like I may want to do now. This is always a fun part. How do I want to decorate it? Let me look through here. Yeah, these are all my little die cut pieces. And I've got my vellum. I could do that. Okay, so I'm just going to put glue. I'm just going to use another dimensional. So I'm just going to put one dimensional on here. On there. And then I think I'll do another one here. And then I'll just tuck this underneath just so that isn't sticking. So there's that. So that's my front, and I'm just going to open it right now just so it's a little bit easier. But I think I was going to do a saying on this one, and this is an old retired saying, but I needed my Mother's Day card from my mom. And I think this will fit on here. Good. Okay, so I am going to, I think, stamp this in white and then quick emboss it, just so it pops on that copper clay. So I'm just going to take and get a little bit of the static electricity gone from my card. And then I'm just going to ink up. I know, old vintage wood block. I haven't stamped with these in forever, so we'll see if I can stamp straight. It's always a fun part. All right. I don't have very many wood block stamps left. I got rid of most of mine, but some of these sayings I did keep on hand. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of white embossing powder. Sprinkle it on. Off the excess. That looks good. We'll give it a quick shot with the heat tool. Oops, I need a little bit more, sorry. You want to make sure that your image is nice and shiny. Boy. And dry before you touch it. This may be my sample. Maybe I have to redo it for my mom. Okay, so there's that. And then let's go ahead, like I said, I like to decorate the back as well. So I'm going to do, I think, because this will kind of line up behind it. Let's see. This one comes out easily. Probably should have run this through the die cutting machine one more time. Sometimes you need to run it through twice before, if the pressure isn't lined up, or if you got it, like this may have been at the edge of my plate. There we go. Okay, so we're just gonna put that right behind. So again, we're going to glue this onto our vellum. Yeah, so this is a azure afternoon. Kind of reminds me of like a cornflower blue. It's definitely a nice, it's a softer blue than what Pacific Point, which retired. You know, that was such a vibrant color, where this one's a little bit more mellow. And I do like it. All right, now the fun part is lining this up with your petals. There we go. There we go. Just press it. And then I've got one of these again. My little center that I stamped and then I die cut. Do that. Put that in there. Another dimensional on the back. And then this way, this is kind of back to back with our front flower. And then I think I may just do, let's see here. Where do I want? Oh, method to my madness here. Yeah, I think we'll just do little dimensionals on the back. Put one there. And then let's see, got these little branches. I'm just wondering. Yeah, that might be too busy. Okay, I think we'll just call it good. Maybe add a little bit of gems, I think, on this front part. So we'll go ahead and grab, let's see here. I think we'll do a little bit of the copper clay. So we'll do, oops. And then a little bit of the blue. And there you have it. So that is that double diamond fold. I will spend time decorating the other one made with the cardstock and then post it with the pictures after this tutorial. So thanks again for watching. Have fun with it. Like I said, it's, you know, they're kind of addicting, and you get this pretty little nice displays that you can put on your desk. Give some people some sunshine. I know here in Minnesota it's a rainy day again, but at least it's not snowing, thank goodness. So anyway, thanks again for watching. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to stamping with you again soon. Have a wonderful